Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you a super easy makeup look for belly dancers, and pretty much any dancing styles can work out this look. So of course we're going to start with very clean hands and face. Okay, and the first thing that we're going to do is just work in our eyes, because we're going to do a dramatic look. So just to save some product, I like to start with my eyes. As you can see, I'm applying a black base all over my lid, all over the mobile lid, and a little bit above the crease. So the best product that I can suggest you to use is a gel liner, a black gel liner. And then you saw me applying it with a brush first. I'm just transferring the excess to the other lid. So yeah, I applied it with the brush first and then smooth it out with my fingers. And now what I'm doing is just setting all that cream product with a dry product, which is of course an eyeshadow. So you're gonna take a fluffy brush, an eyeshadow brush, and you're gonna pack that lid with eyeshadow. You're gonna set that base very well, and you're gonna of course smooth the edges as well. So I'm doing the same thing to the other lid. So we're gonna apply the cream product with a flat brush. Remember to always use flat brushes to apply cream products, and you will use a very short dragging motion to apply that product. And don't worry if it doesn't come off like evenly, or if you see that it's not very like neat and sharp on the edge. Okay, we're gonna just smudge it in a moment. So yeah, smooth it out with the fingers. Use dabbing motions instead of don't swipe anything, because you can remove the product. Instead, all you have to do is just blend it a little bit and smooth it out. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna set it with black eyeshadow. So you saturate the brush with eyeshadow, and then you use dabbing motions to make sure you set everything very well. Okay, make sure you press that product into the cream to make sure that you set. And then to smooth the edges, to smudge it, then of course you use swiping motions. And remember the brush, okay? Always remember that powder brushes are more fluffy, and then cream brushes are just flat. And from now on, we're gonna start the whole blending process. So I'm gonna use a blending brush. In this case, the brush is very small because I'm gonna concentrate my work in the crease area only, okay, to start working on that edge that I left with the black eyeshadow. And I'm using a warm brown shade to do this blending process. By warm, I mean that the brown has a little bit of a red undertone to it. I really like to blend black smoky eyes with that type of eyeshadow. And remember that blending brushes are always rounded in shape, so they actually help us do the work a little bit. We are going to use still round motions, circular motions to blend out, but the brush per se is going to just help us with the whole work, and it's practically going to do the work for you. As I move forward, the brush size is gonna grow, as you're gonna see. And now I'm taking just a lighter shade, again from the warm family. It's gonna be a lighter brown, and I'm gonna keep on blending. It's gonna be the same thing that you did before, where we went from the black to the brown. We're going to do the same thing with a little bigger brush, And we're just going to work on the transition between that brown and this new one. And now I'm using actually a third brown shade to keep on building that transition. Okay, remember that that's the most important thing. That's the thing that we want to create, the dimension, the transition between the colors. That's basically the technique of a smoky eye. We go from a very dark shade into a light shade. So the brush size is gonna correspond to the area that you are working in. So what I'm gonna do now is just clean the under eye area, make sure we don't have any fallouts, and I'm gonna proceed with the primer. I'm applying my primer with my hands, with my fingers. I find them to be the best tools that you can ever use. Never actually underestimate the power of your own hands. What I'm doing here is just removing the excess of primer with that brush, and now I'm applying the foundation into the skin. I'm just using a full coverage foundation, liquid foundation, and again I'm gonna apply it with my fingers, guys. The friction between your skin helps to create a perfect canvas, and it's just gonna help that product sink in beautifully into your skin. So let's work that foundation out and let's cover the full face with it. Make sure you cover every little space, even your lips, because remember we are building our base here. And this way you're gonna just cover every line, every little wrinkle, and like I said, it's gonna help the product sink into the skin better. Okay, so don't worry about blending the product because we're gonna use now the tools to help us blend the product in. So I'm using just a makeup sponge, damped of course, and I'm using it to blend all the product that I applied for the base. Always use dabbing motions, okay? Just bounce that sponge into your skin. Don't drag the product, only dab. And remember, when we work with creams, we start from the center of the face out, okay? So you're gonna see me working from the center out, and remember to reach that hairline. You don't wanna leave it visible. Now I'm doing the same thing with concealer. As you can see, is the shade, of course, is lighter because we want to highlight also. That's the reason why we apply it after the foundation, okay? It is because we use it as highlighter as well. And I do the same technique. I apply it first with my fingers. It helps me reach every little line that we have in that area. And then you blend it with your makeup sponge, or if you have like a brush that you really like, you can also use it. That is always the best way to work with cream products, okay? Remember, always from the center out. And since we are using concealer as a highlighter, we are gonna, of course, highlight all the high points of the face. So in this case, bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, forehead, cupid's bow, and chin. And also when we are blending, especially the foundation, we tend to extend, like to drag too far the product, and then we lose the area that we highlighted. So try to stay focused and keep the product in place. Try to smooth out the edges, remember, to create a pretty transition. So we want to make sure there are no visible lines. So yeah, we review everything to make sure everything is nice and blended. Now we're going to take that pad, it's a little sponge, It's very useful for powder, and we are going to set the under eye area, preferably with translucent powder or very light powder. So yeah, we're going to bake a little bit because it's a very useful technique for stage, for performers. The reason being is just that it gives you the most long-wearing result as opposed to of the other techniques. And when we bake, we just apply the product in excess, as you see here. And we're going to do the same thing to set the rest of the face where we applied concealer as a highlighter. I'm setting the rest of the face with another type of powder. It can be a colored powder. It doesn't have to be like a too light. When you set your face with powders, you have to press the skin very well. Again, you dab the product into the skin, and that way you assure that everything is well set. And of course, you smooth it out, okay, with a brush or with the pad, as you saw me before. And now I'm going to leave that under eye area with that excess powder while I do my contours. And the reason being is just because I want that area to be very light, okay, to bring it forward a little bit more. So we're gonna use just a contour powder. You can use a brown matte eyeshadow if you don't have a contour powder. And I like to use that little flat brush that I think it came with, I don't know, one product. I think it was the Hoola bronzer, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you can use like a similar brush or just use a smaller face brush and work it out. So yeah, we are contouring the cheekbones, as you see me there, the forehead. And whenever we are working with shadows or dry products, we're going to do the opposite as we did with the creams, okay? We're going to start from out to the center of the face. We want to concentrate the color, the most color and the most intensity of shadow on the outsides of your face, not on the center, never on the center. That's the reason why we work shadows always from out into the center of your face. And we're just applying the regular contour, just your cheekbones, your jawline, the forehead, and as you're going to see me, the nose. And try to work that hairline the best that you can. Remember not to leave it visible because it's not very nice. And as we move into the nose contour, we're going to, of course, change brushes, okay, to a smaller one to adapt to the area. So I'm removing the excess powder that I left a little bit to work on my nose contouring. The nose contouring in my particular case is a little bit, let's call it difficult because I have a cricket nose, as you can see, in that side particularly. So I have a little bump there. So yeah, it's a little annoying to work out, but well, I'll just do it patiently. I don't drag the shadow too far down because that can sometimes make your nose look bigger, and we don't want that. So I leave the sides just light, and then I contour towards the center of the nose. And then I try to blend it as much as I can to make it look seamless. But at the same time, remember that this is stage makeup, so we want it to be also very intense. And since I have a round nose, like a rounder nose, I work it out that way because I think it looks nice on me from that particular feature that I have. So you don't have to round out your nose. That's going to depend on your morphology. So again, I'm removing the excess on my under eye area, the excess powder that I left there. And now I'm applying bronzer. Okay, as you can see, with a bigger brush, fluffier powder brush. Okay, and what we are creating there is just, again, a transition. With transitions, I want to create dimensions. That's the most important thing. So yes, as we create a transition on the eyeshadow work, remember that we went from the black, going through the browns. We're going to do the same in the rest of the face. If we apply like a contour, then the bronzer has to be a little bit less intense to create that transition. And that is always going to help you blend your contour, so that's always a very useful step. Besides transition, you blend better. I'm using there a cream blush, okay? And many of you might think, like, why is she applying cream products if she applied powders already? And if you use dabbing motions, trust me, you're not going to risk any of your work, okay? And the reason why I do this is because it gives me more long wearing and intense blush color for performances. So yes, I apply the cream blush first as a base, as I did with all of the techniques that I have applied so far. And then on top of it, I apply a dry product. Okay, in this case, a blush with texture. Because with shimmers, you're gonna bring the cheek forward and you're gonna give the face more dimension. It has to be intense as well as the highlighter. It has to be pretty intense. Remember, we're gonna be under the lights. So yeah, we're gonna need it if we wanna give dimension to your face, to our faces. We need everything to be like very intense. You can smooth it out and blend it out again with the makeup sponge. You don't apply any more product into the sponge or anything. You just use it to smooth everything out and to blend it in together. Or you can also just work it out with the brush that you apply the blush with. You're gonna see me do that in just a moment. I'm applying there just highlighter into the high points of my face, and this is the trick with the blush brush that I gave you. So now we are lining the under eye area. We line the waterline very well, making sure that we cover the lash line as well. And we also drag the pencil down a little bit to the lid area, to the underlid area, okay? Because we want to work it out and smudge it with some black eyeshadow. I have a little freckle there on that side of the face, so I have to work it out a little bit more. So in this case, yes, you just retouch anything that you need, give it more intensity. And I had to finish one side because my battery was giving me issues. So yes, I'm going to show you only one side of the face from now on. Of the eyes, really, because it's what's left. So I'm taking a flat brush, okay, and I'm just smudging the lower lash with black eyeshadow. And also I'm extending a little bit there. I'm giving a more extended shape to the eye to make it look bigger. And I'm gonna do the same thing as I did pretty much with my entire face. I'm gonna create transitions. I'm gonna blend that black eyeshadow with the same brown shade that I applied first when we did the upper lid. And we are just gonna use a small smudging brush to work that transition out in the lower lash line. We remove the excess, the fallouts, because if we let it sink, it might stain a little bit. And I do again the same thing. I go for the mid brown to keep blending. And now I'm just retouching the black eyeshadow because with all that blending, we might have compromised a little bit of that eyeshadow work. So you make sure that everything is nice and blended. Don't worry if your blending technique is not the best. It's not gonna show on stage. But you know, there's always someone taking pictures or filming, so you want to work on that. But give it a little time. Now we coat our lashes with mascara. We are gonna work now on the eyebrows. So again, if we're making an intense and dramatic look, we have to also make intense eyebrows. So we have to do like a very strong makeup for the eyebrows. And I actually, guys, I don't find this particular look to be too intense. This would give you like a pretty normal and natural look, at least on stage. So what I suggest you to do for your eyebrows is to divide it in 3 parts. And you're gonna use a dark color on the last 2/3 of the eyebrow. I like to define it also near the brow bone. So I define it all the way, but I use the dark color only on the last 2/3 and then a lighter color on the first third. And when we do this, we have to make sure that we work those 2 colors together at some point because we don't want to have a 2-color brow. So now what we're going to do is just clean a little bit the brow bone area, and we also use this to highlight. Again, what we are doing is just applying a cream product. In this case, it's a concealer. We are cleaning a little bit the area, but we are also using it as a highlighter. As you will see in a moment, I will apply like a textured eyeshadow, meaning like a shimmery eyeshadow to create a highlight on the brow bone. And there you have the eyeshadow. I would suggest you to apply it in the highest point with the most intensity. The highest point is always the arch, right below the arch of your eyebrow. And then you're also going to highlight the tear duct using the same technique. So again, you use a little bit of a cream product underneath. You make sure you blend it, and then you apply the same highlighting color, well, the same one if you want to, but yes, a highlighting eyeshadow. That's the most important thing. Highlighters are always texturized, okay? It's always shimmery. Now you just retouch that liner because we want to keep it dramatic. And I have an eyelash already glued on the other side, so I was just retouching, you know, that line of glue that you can see whenever it dries out. So what I was doing is just making sure that everything was perfect before I applied the eyelash, the fake eyelash, because if we apply powders after we apply the eyelash, it can cut up a little, you know, powder, and then it's gonna show whenever you take pictures. The eyelashes look dirty, and I don't like that. So yeah, you just apply your fake eyelash and leave it there to dry out. And always remember that once the glue dries out, you have to retouch it a little bit with eyeliner, like I did with the eyeliner pencil before. So you can do that with gel eyeliner if you want, or with the same eyeliner pencil. But in the meantime, while we let that glue dry, we're gonna work on our lips. We're gonna line them first. And as you can see, I have to work my mouth entirely because I have a small mouth overall. It's not just the lips, it's the mouth. So I have to overline the lips to make them look fuller. And then I also have to extend the liner, as you can see there, in my corners, just to make it look bigger. So take your time. Some people just have very beautiful, natural, full lips and big mouths. Not my case. So if it isn't your case either, take your time and just try to make it look even. It's very easy to just make them look uneven. So take your time. And now I'm using a liquid lipstick, a dark red liquid lipstick, to fill in my lips. I don't like to use liquid lipsticks for like daily, everyday makeup, but I really enjoy them for stage. They're very long wearing and you don't need much retouches when you use liquid lipsticks. So yes, I'm just filling everything. And as you can see, I'm also using it to define, of course, the lips and help all that liner work that I did. But then I'm leaving the center bare. And that's because I'm going to apply lighter red to the center. Again, to create dimension, also to your lips. Make it look bigger. And sometimes the funny faces are just necessary in makeup, especially when you're applying liquid lipsticks, because you need to stretch your lips as much as you can so that it would be smooth. And that's the other lip color. It's a little bit more intense, and it's just a lighter red. Of course, red is the best lip color for stage. Is the one that looks the best and that defines your lips the best. And now I'm just using a gloss. I had a red gloss for some reason, and I'm just using it to again give it more dimension and make my lips look bigger. If you also need the gloss, or if you actually just want to wear gloss, I would suggest you to wear it or to put it on just at the very last moment because it can get a little messy in the meantime. And that's it, you guys. I really hope that you liked it. This is the look that I would suggest you to do. It's very, very easy. And you can accessorize it like with septums and facial tattoos for tribal fusion or ATS. You can use it for pretty much every style of dancing, also flamenco. And in this case, I just used some rhinestones for the case of a belly dancer. Hope you find it helpful, and also hope to have you around here for my next video. Bye.